Samsung Electronics reported a record-breaking operating profit for the fourth quarter of 2025, reaching the 20 trillion won mark for the first time on the back of a supercycle in the chip sector. President Lee Jae-myung says his recent steep visit to China laid a solid foundation for the full restoration of Seoul-Beijing relations, and once again called for a pragmatic diplomacy. According to Venezuelan authorities, more than 100 people were killed during a U.S. military operation in Venezuela that led to the capture of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Amid strong market conditions geared by high demand for memory chips, Samsung Electronics reported a record high performance in the final quarter of 2025 for both its operating profit and revenue. Our An Sang-jian leads us off tonight.
South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics has posted an earnings surprise for the fourth quarter of 2025, with the strongest quarterly performance in the company's history. According to its preliminary fourth quarter earnings released on Thursday, earnings have surpassed market forecasts with a record-breaking operating profit of over 20 trillion Korean won, or $13.8 billion US. This is up more than 208% from the same period a year earlier. It's also the first time a South Korean company has posted an operating profit exceeding 20 trillion won in a single quarter. Revenue also saw a record high, reaching 93 trillion won, or $65.3 billion, up by more than 22% compared to the previous year. As the earnings announcement approached, securities firms steadily raised their forecasts. This comes amid a broader semiconductor upcycle, where strong demand for memory chips is pushing prices sharply higher. Rising DRAM prices, strong market conditions for HBM or high bandwidth memory, and favorable foreign exchange effects have driven these record earnings. Samsung Electronics also increased its production share of HBM products and demonstrated competitiveness in the market.
It seems largely to be due to strong semiconductor sales performances and high revenue. New products in the Galaxy lineup and other consumer electronics sold well this time too. However, the biggest impact likely came from the rise in memory chip prices.
Though the official profit breakdown by business unit is yet to be disclosed, industry analysts say that the memory chip division would have shown a dramatic turnaround from losses a year earlier, accounting for more than 70% of the total operating profit. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung presided over a weekly meeting with his aides today, the day after returning from China. He called for pragmatic diplomacy, saying there are no permanent foes or friends in the international order. Yoon Jung-min reports.
영원한 적도, 영원한 우방도, 또 영원한 규칙도 없는 냉혹한 국제 질서 속에서 대한민국의 운명은 우리 스스로 개척하는 국익 중심 실용 외교에 달려 있습니다.
The South Korean president made an assessment of his four-day state visit to China, noting that the trip served to fully restore Seoul-Beijing relations, while the Blue House, citing foreign media reports, assessed that it displayed the Lee Jae-myung-style pragmatic diplomacy. Thursday's weekly meeting with the senior aides was more than just that.
2026년이 성장의 대전환을 통한 국가 대도약의 출발점이 되도록 이념과 진영을 넘어 국민의 역량을 하나로 모아가겠습니다.
President Lee Jae-myung underlined policies to bring changes that make people feel an actual difference in their everyday lives, while noting the need to shift away from heavy concentration of resources on certain groups or regions.
특히 지방, 중소벤처, 스타트업, 그리고 청년 등 상대적으로 소외됐던 영역들이 새로운 성장의 축으로 자리 잡을 수 있도록
Topics included ways to prepare for a transition to the AI era, checking what's needed, and bolstering related international cooperation.
To turn AI into our growth engine and the infrastructure of our daily lives, we discussed a comprehensive strategy, such as securing infrastructure and seeking new industries.
The meeting came amid intensifying global competition over energy, as some watchers view the recent U.S. attack on Venezuela as linked to oil. President Lee also instructed his officials to brace for a change in energy paradigms, citing increasing global uncertainties. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
Venezuelan authorities have released official figures of those who died during America's operation to capture Nicolas Maduro and his wife. While condemning the operation, Venezuela's acting leader has defended her ongoing oil negotiations with Washington. Oh Seong has the latest.
More than 100 people were killed during the U.S. military operation in Venezuela that led to the capture of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. That's according to Venezuela's Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello, who revealed Wednesday that a similar number were injured. It marks the first official casualty figure released by the Venezuelan government. Cabello said Maduro injured his leg during the raid, while First Lady Celia Flores suffered a head injury. Earlier, a U.S. official said the presidential couple had already been injured before coming into direct contact with American forces, possibly after striking objects during or immediately before the use of flashbang grenades. Footage from Maduro's appearance at a New York federal court on Monday showed him limping. Flores was seen with bruising on her face. Her lawyer has requested additional medical examinations, saying she may have suffered fractured ribs. Meanwhile, Cuba's government said 32 of its citizens were killed while carrying out missions linked to Cuba's armed forces and interior ministry. The United States has reported no fatalities among its service members, but confirmed that several were injured and are recovering. Despite condemning the U.S. military operation, Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has defended ongoing oil export negotiations with Washington. Speaking at a meeting with lawmakers in Caracas, Rodriguez said trade between the two countries should not be treated as unusual and that Venezuela must maintain relations with all countries.
Venezuela is open to energy relations where all parties benefit, where economic cooperation is very well determined in commercial contracts. That is our position, and the diversity of our energy relations. Venezuela has one of the largest oil reserves on the planet and has the largest gas reserves. Those resources must be at the service of national development, and they must also be at the service of the development of other countries in the world. This is how our oil industry was born, with an export vocation.
According to the Trump administration, Washington has agreed to receive between 30 and 50 million barrels of Venezuelan crude. The oil will be sold on the market, with the United States controlling the proceeds. Caracas says that even after the military operation, it remains ready to engage in economic, commercial and energy cooperation with any country, provided its sovereignty is respected. Oh Seong, Arirang News.
U.S. President Donald Trump has called into question NATO's commitment to the U.S. in the event of an actual crisis. Now, remarks to this end shared on his social media platform are the latest in escalating rhetoric over Greenland. Ian Jin has this report.
Following his recent intervention in Venezuela, tensions are now rising over U.S. President Donald Trump's desire to acquire Greenland from Denmark, a NATO ally. On Wednesday, Trump cast fresh doubt on the reliability of NATO, taking to Truth Social to say that he doubted whether the alliance would be there for Washington when needed. Trump's remarks were in reference to Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty, under which an attack on one member of the alliance is considered an attack on all. Trump also criticized NATO regarding their lack of commitment to defense spending, having pressured members for an increase from 2% of GDP to as much as 5% by 2035. However, there are growing concerns that Trump's decisions are negatively affecting multinational alliances, which doesn't seem to go against the administration's interests. Trump said on Wednesday that the United States would withdraw from 35 non-UN groups and 31 UN entities, including a key climate treaty and a UN body that promotes gender equality and women's empowerment. Not only did the United States skip the annual UN International Climate Summit last year for the first time in 3 decades, but it also cut its funding for the UN Population Fund, which is the agency focused on family planning as well as maternal and child health in more than 150 countries. This comes as President Trump also called for the increase of U.S. defense spending to $1.5 trillion for 2027, which is 50% higher than the budget for this year, saying that it would allow for a dream military. Meanwhile, at home, Trump warned Republicans, saying that if they lose the midterm elections in November, the Democrats would impeach him. Ian Jin, Arirang News.
In 2026, a series of broad economic reforms and benefit changes are coming into effect, aimed at adjusting for inflation and expanding existing welfare. Along with that, updates have been introduced ahead of the annual year-end tax settlement, often referred to as the 13th month's salary. For more on these changes, we turn to our economics correspondent, Park Junan, here in the studio. Welcome back, Junan.
Great to be back, Tommy.
So, Junan, starting in 2026, there are some universal changes, such as the pension rate, minimum wage, right? And also median income and more. What are some of the changes that are worth mentioning or sharing?
Right, Tommy. The Minister of Economy and Finance last week noted, which is called the annual booklet titled What is Changing from 2026, focusing on economic reforms. Well, with the collaboration of numerous agencies, the policy changes focus on easing family burdens, boosting opportunities for young adults, and enhancing the level of welfare. The minimum wage this year has risen to 10,320 Korean won per hour, a 2.9% increase from last year's 10,031. This change for a full-time worker who works 40 hours a week will add at least 60,000 per month to their wages, helping offset rising living costs amid inflation. Also, the median income benchmark used for welfare calculations has jumped 6.51% for a four-person household to roughly 6.49 million won a month. This is the steepest hike since the system's inception, meaning more families qualify for benefits like basic living allowances. For instance, a single-person household's maximum livelihood benefits increased from last year's 765,000 won to 821,000 won, providing stronger support for those who need assistance. On pensions, national pension premiums will rise from last year's 9% to current 9.5% of income. The pension contribution will gradually increase year by year by an annual 0.5 percentage points until hitting 13% by 2033. The government has said that this aims to sustain the national pension system's long-term outlook. However, higher contributions could cause a slight dip in workers' paychecks. Offsetting this, the income replacement rate is set to rise from 41.5% to 43% when recipients begin receiving their pension at retirement. The government has introduced the Everyone's Card, an integrated version of the K-Pass that offers unlimited refunds on travel costs exceeding a monthly fare cap. If you already have the K-Pass, you are good to go. To apply for the card, you can either digitally add it to your phone or add the service to your existing physical card. The Everyone's Card offers broader benefits than Seoul's Climate Card, which is limited to parts of the Seoul metropolitan area, and the K-Pass, which provides discounts but not full coverage. There are two types of pass, a general pass and a plus pass. The good thing is that Everyone's Card does not require you to manually register or choose between the general and plus types. Instead, the system automatically selects and combines both types each month based on your actual use to maximize your refund. If your rides generally cost less than 3,000 won per trip, such as regular city buses and subways, you will be categorized under the general type. You only get to pay an extra fee on fares higher than 3,000 won on top of the regular monthly fare. If you are a frequent user of higher fare types, trips of 3,000 won or more, such as GTX, Shinbundang Line, or certain inter-regional buses, the system will automatically calculate and split your use, likely putting you under the plus type. The fare for the pass will differ depending on how old you are, how many children you have, and where you live. Let's say you live in the Seoul metropolitan area and are aged between 40 and 65 with no children, your fare will be higher. However, if you are aged 19 to 39 years living outside the Seoul metropolitan area, the monthly fare will be cheaper.
I see. It seems like the expansion of these benefits and changes could be definitely helpful. Now, Junan, now that the year-end tax settlement is officially starting next week, what are some tips that you can give us so that we can get a greater tax refund this time?
Right, Tommy. So usually January is called 13th month of the income because as you could get quite a refund on taxes you paid while working in 2025. To get this, there are two ways to reduce your final tax liability, with eligible taxpayers on average receiving 700 to 800,000 won per adjustment. The first is an income deduction, which reduces your taxable income before the tax rate is applied. For example, if you earn 50 million won and qualify for a 5 million won deduction for housing savings, your taxable income drops to 45 million won, lowering your overall tax bill indirectly based on your tax bracket. A tax credit, on the other hand, subtracts directly from your calculated tax amount. Let's say your tax owed is 3 million won. A 500,000 won credit for marriage reduces it to 2.5 million won. One of the tips we could refer to is using the monthly rent tax credit, which allows non-home owning workers to claim a credit on rent paid for a small or mid-sized homes valued at less than 400 million won. Eligibility applies to households with an annual salary of up to 80 million won, with a higher deduction rate of 17% for those earning 55 million won or less, and 15% for those earning between 55 million and 80 million won.
Lots of changes and benefits to keep in mind in the new year. Chunan, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
The South Korean economy remains under strain despite a rebound in consumption, given the prolonged slump in manufacturing. According to the Korea Development Institute's report for January, production is growing but at a slower pace as sentiment within the manufacturing industry hovers low. Now, the construction industry also remains in the doldrums. Output fell 17% on-year in November. Consumption, however, is keeping the economy afloat. Retail sales and service sector output are reportedly improving for the fifth straight month. Now, over in Las Vegas, where the world's biggest tech show, CES 2026, is well underway. South Korea has once again made its mark with up-and-coming businesses as the government and universities support smaller companies to join the show. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
For this year's CES, South Korea has the third most companies holding exhibitions. While global industry leaders like Samsung and Hyundai may take much of the attention, the focus here at the Venetian Expo is on those just starting out. Especially on the first floor, Eureka Park is a space exclusive to startups less than 5 years old. CES turned this building's parking garage into an exhibition hall, symbolizing the gritty nature of the startup scene.
This is a map of the Eureka Park, and from it you can get the sense of the large presence of Korean startups here. All this section in the center, and this section here, and even in the corner, this whole section, you can see are taken up by Korean institutions.
Leading the effort is KOTRA, or the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency. The agency explained that this convention is critical for export results.
It is a very important exhibition for us. It is the one we put the most effort into, and if we support them well, good results can follow.
Through the agency and 38 other institutions, a record 470 companies are here at the Venetian Expo as a whole, which includes the second floor main exhibition area. A global pavilion is set up there for nations to showcase their SMEs that don't fit into the startup section. The companies in this integrated Korea pavilion rock the slogan of K-Innovators Show Up, adding a K to the main slogan of CES 2026. While these companies are backed by provincial governments and universities, every single one had to be selected by the CES organizer, the CTA, to earn its spot. This is also their chance to appeal to potential foreign capital. To boost this, at the center of the exhibition, a stage is set up where companies are pitching directly to global giants like Walmart and Intel. A must for an entrepreneur on the global stage: confidence.
Alpaca X is growing fast and customers love it and they are paying actually. And we have powerful customers and partners like this.
More than a dozen companies will take the stage through Thursday, part of KOTRA's push to boost the global exposure of these Korean firms. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News, Las Vegas.
Team Korea is gearing up for a pivotal year on the global sporting stage, especially as the Winter Olympics is near. Now, that push begins with the 2026 training commencement ceremony for national athletes held at Korea's main training center. Our correspondent Park Kwon-woo has the story.
Sliding and gliding smoothly before accelerating as if it were an actual race. For these Korean national team athletes, slowing down is not an option as the clock keeps ticking, lap after lap, in pursuit of their goals.
I feel grateful to compete in my third Olympics alongside such great teammates. I'll give it my all once again, and with the skaters that I trust, we will show once more why Korea is a powerhouse in short track.
And it's not just the ice skaters who are shedding blood, sweat, and tears. Athletes from other disciplines, including curling, are also fully locked in, carrying bold ambitions of their own. That comes as mixed doubles curling is the very first match for Team Korea in the upcoming Winter Olympics.
We always review our matches, focusing more on the positives. That's helped us improve over time. We're confident we will win the first game, and a strong start will definitely boost the morale of the entire Korean team.
In about 30 days' time, these athletes will finally get the chance to show the world the effort they've poured in for months, possibly years, at the Winter Games in Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo for around 2 weeks. And that determination is on full display, as loud Team Korea chants filled the air during the 2026 training commencement ceremony held Wednesday at the Jincheon National Training Center in Central Korea. Athletes from a wide range of sporting disciplines, also including summer sports, gathered, reaffirming their resolve for the season ahead. With major international competitions lined up this year, including the Winter Games, Korea's sports ministry says expanded government support is on the way.
International competitions are major events that reflect a nation's global standing. The fair play and confident sportsmanship you show in competition make Korea a source of pride worldwide. Our ministry will continue to support you fully so that you can focus solely on training and turn all your dreams into reality.
While South Korea claimed 2 gold medals at the Beijing Winter Games 4 years ago, this time the country now aims to add at least 1 more, possibly from disciplines beyond its traditional ice sports strongholds. With just about a month to go until the Olympics begin, athletes will continue to train hard, carrying the determination they forged here, aiming to make the national anthem echo through arenas and help South Korea shine on the global stage. Park Kwon-woo, Arirang News, Jincheon.
Temperatures plummeted sharply overnight and many inland areas woke up to bitter cold of around -10 degrees Celsius this morning. Even during the day, freezing conditions remained around the country with sub-zero temperatures in most areas. Cold wave advisories are still in effect for Gangwon-do, Chungcheongbuk-do, and parts of Gyeongsang-buk-do province. Meanwhile, the air is extremely dry in the eastern parts of the country and the capital area as well. In particular, the East Coast is under a dry weather warning. Please be extra careful to avoid any accidents with fire. Seoul will start off at -5 degrees tomorrow morning, with Chuncheon at -11 degrees. Highs will rise above 0 degrees tomorrow, with Seoul and Daejeon at 6 degrees, Daegu and Gyeongju at 7 degrees. Looking ahead to the weekend, widespread snow and rain are in the forecast across the country. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.